everybody, and welcome to Erndale's. Today is Friday, March the 10th. It is a snowy day here in the west of Manitoba, Canada. We are expecting 30 centimeters of snow with this system that is blowing through here. I think it's coming up from the States. Not too happy about all the snow, but it is what it is. This is March, and March can be a very snowy, miserable month here. We often get really big spring snows in March. One year when I was a kid, I think it was 1964 or 5, we had snow. We had this big, huge blizzard. Of course, back then, they didn't have the big equipment that cleared things right away, but the snow started, I think it started on in the middle of the week, and it went on for a couple of days. It was a major blizzard, and we couldn't even get out our doors. My brother, who was a teenager, he had his own snowmobile at the time, and he had been out that evening that it started with his snowmobile. So he kind of was helping the police stop people from going places because they all knew that this was going to be a major storm. And it ended up he was taking people to hospital on snowmobile. He was rescuing people who were stranded on snowmobile. And when he came home, he had to dig us out. We couldn't get out our door. So, and that was March. That was March the 4th, 64 or 65, something like that. Yeah, so March can be sort of a miserable month here. And it also can be very nice. I had a thing come up on Facebook. You know, you get your memories of 2 years ago and things like that. And it was a picture that I had taken 2 years ago, and there was no snow. There was no puddles. It was like real spring. So you just never know. Anyway, welcome, and it's good to see you all again. I decided that I was not going to talk too much about Hendrix the hare in this video. I've been kind of knocking myself about this week, worrying about putting all this content together and making too long of a video. So Hendrix the hare is going to have his own separate videos. I might mention him a little bit in here, but this is not going to be, this video is pretty much not about Hendrix the hare. So what is it about? Well, I promised you some finished objects last time, and I have kind of gone crazy on new starts. And I have a winner for the Redwork sampler, and I have an announcement about the traveling spindle. It is about to leave here. And I have a poem that I wrote in 1998, which all related to what I'm talking about, believe it or not. And what else do I have? I don't know. Let's see. Let's just go with it. Some of you are wondering how, when I'm doing my daily stitching journal, how I got the outline onto the fabric that I'm stitching on. So here's a little video of me doing that. I actually got ahead of myself now. When I finished February, which I will show you in a minute, I had not done March's yet outlined. So what I decided to do was a whole bunch, and now I think I've got enough to get me to June. So here's how I make my outline on my fabric without a light box or anything really special. And I have finished February. I finished on time. I think I was a couple of days behind, but what I have started doing is on a week like this past week was, where everything is just going all crazy and I just can't get to stuff. What I have done if I haven't been able to stitch on my journal, at least I drew on it so that I knew what was on my mind that day that I wanted to stitch. So I will show you February. Oops, I'm going to have to make a, got stuck underneath there. Here's my February journal. And again, it's much brighter than what it's showing up here. I can't see what I'm showing you. And so there's, of course, the 1st of February, I always put February so that I know. And then on the 5th of February, I have something that gets MV in the middle of it. It's this one. Let's stand up and do it. It's this one right here. That one was my Aunt Margaret's birthday. She was very special to me. And she was a quilter. So that is supposed to be a quilt block, believe it or not. And I did it in her colors, which was purple and mauve. She loved that. This, I had a day of just playing the piano. And so I just stitched notes. And of course, February being the month of love, there's a lot of hearts in here. This was a day that I was really hitting hard my mint tea, my homegrown mint tea. And then this one, what does it say? Home Sweet Home. And then I made a little house. And of course, there's lots of loves. And then we get to around here. This was Ash Wednesday, I believe. And then Lent begins. And then I put a little cross on every day of Lent. And I'm continuing that all through my February one as well. There's a love. I'm looking at this backwards. I think this one was Valentine's Day. I think that's Valentine's Day. Yeah, and then I put at the end, and so ends February, because I forgot when I was making this. February only had 28 days, and I put all the other boxes, but I'm going to get some eraser, magic eraser or something, and erase this out. And eventually I might put a little saying here or something like that. So that's my February. And March has started. I'm a couple, like I said, I'm a couple of days behind on that, but I've already drawn what I want. And just in case you're new to my channel, and if you are, welcome, this is January's. So my intention with these are to do one a month, and at the end of the year to make a quilt with the whole year stitched. I think it's going to be a really nice project in the end. And I'm so far having no trouble keeping this going. I mean, you're only stitching a small block like this every day. So it's not like you're stitching the whole thing. You only have to make time to stitch one little tiny block. And I've outlined, in February, I outlined all the blocks in red. And in March, I've already outlined all my blocks, and it's green. I wonder why. So that is my stitching journal, and I love it. It's a really nice little activity. I usually do it in the evening. After supper, I go upstairs, come up here to the studio, and I sit down for 10-15 minutes, and I stitch my little block. And it's very nice and relaxing. Sometimes I have some quiet music on, and sometimes I don't. So that's one finish that I have. A couple of videos back, my top is falling down. A couple of videos back, I shared a free pattern from Punkin and, what is it? Pinker and Punkin Quilting. And I'll put the address down below. And it was a little salt box, and I finished it. And I framed it. I got this frame, before Christmas. I got two of them, actually. And they were 25 cents at the little secondhand shop in the next town over. And it's perfect for this. So this is the Spring Green Saltbox by Pinker and Punkin Quilting. She has, on her website, she has a whole bunch of these different colors of salt boxes. I would love to do them all, but the reason I did this one is this dark green is exactly the same color as our house. And actually we have two colors of green. And we never ever painted our front door, but now I know what color I want to paint my front door. Is that beautiful raspberry wine color. So that's going to happen this spring. So that's another little finish that I've got. Loved it. It was a really easy, fast, and really pretty little finish. And then I needed a really fast gift for somebody very special to me. And so I was watching somebody else's, now I can't remember who it was. Anyway, they were showing these wrist warmers. I'll put them on. They're lovely. I haven't sewn in the ends yet though, so they might be peeking out here, but aren't they lovely? So this is the Wintertide Wrist Warmers by Candy Patch Design. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I made them out of what was left of a ball of sock yarn, but it's DK. This is DK yarn. I can't even remember what the name of the yarn was, to be honest with you. But I had just a tiny little ball left over, and I got both of them done. So that's a nice little gift to give to somebody. And these are useful in our climate in spring because, you know, we have days where it's still cold enough to wear mittens, but we also have days where you want your hands warm, but you want your fingers free. So these are going to go in the mail along with some seeds to one of my nieces. So that's another finish. I guess that's all my finishes really for now. And I enjoyed knitting those wrist warmers so much that I'm making myself a pair. And I found in my stash, I had some, I don't know even who gave me this yarn. It's a sock yarn, but it's not even in English. It's 72% acrylic, 20% maybe wool. It's not in English, so I don't know what it is. 5% jute and 3% viscose. And it's quite fluffy. So, but it's a sock yarn. So, and I need DK for that pattern. So I found another ball of just a regular sock yarn, one that I've had for a long time, and I've never really done anything with it because it's kind of boring. So I'm pairing it together, and I've started another one of those wrist warmers, and it's working out beautiful, and I think it's going to be just the perfect weight. So these are going to be for me when I get them done, and this goes really quickly. It's a very simple pattern, and it turns out really lovely. So that's going to be another Wintertide wrist warmers for me. And then I've also started another pair of socks. I have a feeling that I'm becoming one of these one sock wonders. I hope not. I've always been this way when I'm making socks. I get bored. By the time I finish one sock, I get bored with the whole thing. And so I start another one. But I do go back and finish the other one. I usually have 2 or 3 pairs of socks on the go at one time for that very reason, because I really do get bored with the same pattern, or not so much the same pattern, but the same yarn. So these are just a pair of vanilla socks. I'm using up I've got a lot of Croy in my stash, and this is Croy. Just a minute, I'm stuck here. There we go. This is Patton's Croy yarn, and this is the colorway Midnight Orchid. So they're just a pair of fairly shorty socks. Again, for me, this is how I like them. They're actually quite heavy. And I'm knitting them on 2.75 millimeter needles, I believe. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it is. So another thing. And it's kind of nice to have several knitting patterns, short little ones like this. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not starting anything big because in another month, hopefully, I'm going to be outside working my tail off in the garden. And then I have, aside from the daily stitching, I've also started another little stitching project. I coffee dyed some 18 count Aida, and I am stitching an Easter egg, but I decided I didn't want it in the pastel colors of an Easter egg. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make it look prim. And there we go, that's better. I'll show you. This is from Just Cross Stitch, what year? From last April. And there was a Easter egg trio in there. And the one that I'm doing is this pink one. And that's why I decided not to do it like this, because you can't really see the pattern in there so much. So I'm going to do it in this thread that I have left over from my red sampler is what I'm using. And I'm doing it like this. And you know, as I'm stitching this, I'm thinking that this reminds me very, very much of the Ukrainian painted eggs, the Pysanka. I don't know if I've said that right, but I think that's how you say it, Pysanka. My mom and I did some of that years ago. We were into doing the Fabergé type eggs for decorations, and I can't remember how we decided to do these Ukrainian eggs, but we got the little pencils. They're a little stick of wood with a little metal tip on them. And what you do is you put wax in there, beeswax, and you melt it. And then you take your egg, and they're not blown eggs. They have the stuff in them. And you melt that wax and you make your design on the egg with the wax first. It's a wonderful, it's really a great project. If you've never done anything like this, it's quite fun. And you have to sort of know ahead of time what design you're going to have, because you got to draw it all out with this wax on the egg, and then you dip your egg into the paints. And then when you're all done, you take the wax off and you have this fantastic patterned egg. It's just gorgeous. And if I can find a really good picture, I'll put one up right here for you to see what I'm talking about. So this kind of reminds me of that. I mean, they have a lot of red in the Pysanka eggs. Not all red like this, but yeah, this is not showing up very good. I don't know why. Anyway, and I don't know if I'll do all three. I think I will. That's why I sort of got this much fabric. I think I will eventually do all 3 eggs. And I kind of thought if I had them done, that I might have my Hendrix Hare, who I'm not going to talk about on this video, hold them. But that'll remain to be seen if I get him done in time for Easter, or if I get these done in time for Easter. So just talking very quickly about Hendrix Hare. I think I told you in the last video that years ago, I used to do a lot of toy making, bears and dolls and all kinds of different stuffed animals and things like that. And so I thought I would share. I don't have any of them except for one anymore. I mean, most of them I made for gifts and gave away. And if I did have any around, a child probably has taken it by now. But I do have one because it was a pattern that I made. I made a few of them, but one of the bears that I made, there he is there. Let me grab him. There we go. This is Pookie. And he is just a lightly stuffed little bear. And I had made one of these for our son when he was, I think, 2 or 3 years old. And I made him in a brightly colored blue, like a really vivid blue, not a light blue, not a dark blue, but somewhere in between. And that was the background of the fabric, and the whole thing was covered with colorful daisies, little tiny daisies. And that's what I made his bear out of. And it was identical pattern to this one. And I understuffed him like I have Pookie, because for a child, you want to understuff your bear. You don't want it overstuffed, because then they're nice and squishy and cuddly. And he named the bear Gary after his dad. So I made a poem, and I would like to share that poem with you, because I haven't shared a poem with you since Christmas time. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to read this poem about Gary. And I hope I don't cry. Okay, so I'm going to put him down, and I'm going to read the poem for you. I just want to say a couple more things about Gary, the one-eared bear, before I read you the poem. My son had quite a few surgeries when he was small, and every time that he would go to the hospital for surgery, Gary went along, of course. And the staff were so wonderful about including Gary in the whole process before the surgery and after the surgery. And Jonathan always thought that Gary had gone into the operation with him. They even put a little band around Gary's wrist, with his name and stuff like that. So they allowed him to hold Gary right up until the time they put him to sleep. And then when he was sleeping, they put Gary underneath the trolley. And then before he woke up in recovery, they had him right back where he was when he went to sleep. So when he woke up, Gary was right there. So he always believed that Gary had been with him the whole time. And I was always so thankful for that, because that was a real comfort for him. So here's the poem I wrote about Gary. It's called Gary the One-Eared Bear. Gary was a one-eared bear my mama made for me. I found him sitting by our tree the Christmas I turned 3. That day I first set eyes on him, he had 2 ears like me, and he was oh so colorful, as bright as he could be. Bright blue cloth with daisies on was what his skin was like. Different than any bear I'd seen, I loved him at first sight. I picked him up and hugged him close, and knew just right away that he would be my best friend forever and a day. He was always there with me in everything I do. When I was sick or sad or hurt, he'd feel those same things too. One day while we were playing cars, poor Gary started to cry. And when I glanced at him real close, I saw the reason why. There, hanging crooked from his head, one ear hung by a thread. The sight of that poor broken ear just filled my heart with dread. I picked him up and wiped his tears and told him, "It's okay. Our mom will fix your ear for you, then we'll get back to play." But Mom was busy and didn't have time to fix poor Gary's ear. Instead of minutes it might have took, we waited now for years. Well, now I'm 10, I'm almost grown, and Gary's still my friend. And though he mostly stays at home, at times we still pretend. Of course, I'd never tell a soul, especially at my school, about my bright blue earless bear. They'd think I was a fool. I think I'll keep him as he is. He looks all right to me. He wouldn't be a one-eared bear if 2 ears on him I'd see. So the thing about this poem is that I've always wanted to turn this into a child's book. And my son, as an adult, is a very talented artist. He's an educator. He teaches college. He teaches 3D drafting and all this fancy kind of stuff. And he does cartooning, like he's very talented that way. And I always wanted to have him illustrate this poem as a child's book. And I haven't yet pinned him down to it, but someday I'm going to. And I would love to have this put into a little storybook for children. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was fun sharing it with you. Okay, so a couple of videos back, I announced a giveaway that I was doing for the pattern for this Redwork sampler. It's cross stitch and Redwork together. I finished this. It was a kit I had bought last year or the year before, and I finished it in February, and I announced that I wanted to pass on the pattern to somebody. And I have a winner. So Kim DeSota, you are the winner. And Kim, if you could just please send me your mailing information. I'm going to put my email address down below in the description. And if you could just email me that information, I will get this into the mail for you next week. Congratulations, Kim. And thank you, everybody who entered that. I'm just going to say one thing about giveaways and things like that. There's quite a few people on the internet who have YouTube channels who are having a problem with, I don't know what you call them, bots or trolls, those type of people, interfering in their giveaway draws. In the way that they're interfering is that they're making comments to subscribers under the name of the person whose YouTube channel it is, saying that they've won this or they've won that. And like these people, I'm going to say the same thing to you. I will never, ever announce a winner or a draw or a giveaway on a comment. I'll never do that. It'll always be on a video. And if I'm announcing a winner, it will be on a video like this. You'll never ever, I'm not going to contact you in a comment. That's never going to happen. So if you are contacted and it says it's me, it's not me. That's just, this is going around right now and it's become quite a problem. And the other thing I think is that a lot of times in the past, and I've noticed that people have stopped doing this a little bit, but in the past, some of the content makers have put in their title of their video giveaway or a draw or something. And I think that is kind of a sure way for these people to get in and start messing around with our subscribers. So I'm also not going to mention those kind of things on my title. For instance, on the title for this video, I'm going to put Redwork winner or winner Redwork or something like that, that will tell you that I'm going to announce that, but I'm not going to say we have a winner or winner for the giveaway, because then they're going to go in there and they're going to mess around. So we have to just be a little bit more careful. And I also am embedding any announcements into the middle of my video. So they're only going to see that if they watch the video. And believe me, these people aren't watching videos at all. They're just going according to what's said in the title. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So Kim, please let me know your address, and my information is below this video. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that the traveling spindle is just about out the door as well. There is somebody from Cookstown, Ontario, who wants the spindle, so it also will be leaving next week, early next week. As soon as this snowstorm is over, I will be going to the post office and posting off both things. So congratulations, Kim. And Rosemary Tinape, I hope that's how you say your name. You can look forward to receiving this spindle soon, and I hope you enjoy it as well. So I guess that's all for this week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a video next week. We have a crazy week of appointments out of town, so it's going to be very difficult for me to get some time to actually video and then edit and all that kind of stuff. It takes quite a while. So if you don't see me next week on, don't worry about me, I'm fine. But I will try and do a video, but if I just can't get around to it, I'll see you the following week. And Hendrix the Hare will have his own video series. I won't mix them up with these ones. And I'm just going to mention something about Hendrix. I'm not progressing through that project as fast as I thought I would, because I can't find the wire to do the structure inside. And a lot of people, I've told this to on some of the different sites that I go to, and people say, well, just go to the hardware store. And I can't do that. I'm in rural Manitoba. There are no big hardware stores around here. And the small ones don't carry that kind of stuff. We have tiny little, local hardware stores, but they don't have that kind of thing. So I am trying to source this, and I want to source it locally, as local as I can. I don't want to order on Amazon or any of these kind of places. I really don't want to do that. So until I can get my hands on the wire that I need for the structure of this rabbit, I think it's going to be a slow progress. But I have done some, and what I have done, I will be sharing in an upcoming video. I hope to maybe get that video before next week, like before the middle of the week next week up, but I'm not going to promise for sure because, like I say, we're not going to be around a lot. So take care, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again really soon. Maybe the next week, maybe the week after, but it'll be soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.